Hi there, my name is Kurt White. I first became involved with Dr. Clark's work about 10 years ago. Somebody handed me one of her books. It said, "The Cure for All Diseases." I thought, gee, that's a pretty bold statement. I don't think so. But after studying the book for some months, I decided it was really good information. There's a lot of science in it anybody could use. She says that if you put deodorant under your arm, in 2 minutes you can find aluminum in your brain. And if you put deodorant under your arm, in 2 minutes you can find propyl alcohol in your liver with a little device she invented that she calls a Syncrometer. It's made with Radio Shack parts, about $60 worth of parts. The book is an incredible piece of information and really worth reading, and thank you for buying the book you bought. I worked with Dr. Clark now about 5 years as an understudy, as an unpaid understudy, and I find it's most fascinating. She's without question one of the most brilliant minds on the planet. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you can gain a lot of information for yourself, and maybe you can save a life. Thank you so much. By the way, Dr. Clark says you can copy this and give it to as many friends as you like. It may save a lot of lives. Thank you. Morning, Dr. Clark. How are you?
Good morning. Fine. So this does look for all the world like a worm, only I'd never seen one like this before. And without staining it, you can't get a better idea. But it has to be a plant or animal. So first thing I would check for is plant, food residue in other words. And if anything, it could come from, say, a banana or plantain, which we use in our diet. So that would be the first thing I would test. And use a banana, so I would test that first. And that's it.
What do you know? That was a positive indication from the Syncrometer.
Usually it doesn't go that fast because I have to guess what the possibilities are. I can't go through a long list. Maybe sometime in the future that can be done. The circuitry is already available to where I wouldn't have to have the actual item for testing. But I'm still at the manual stage, and I prefer it that way.
But actually, you could have made a water copy of that.
Yes, I could have. And also, it would distinguish between banana and plantains, so it has very acute sensitivity to little differences.
Now, if you weren't so conscious of all of the things going on and so adept at figuring out what something might be, first knowing the food and the patients, what else would you have checked for that?
If I couldn't find it to be a food residue, I would go through all my parasite collection. I have about 50 or 60 parasites, and I would go through them even if it didn't look like it, because well, that's just my procedure in order not to miss anything. And I have those on slides like this, microscope slides. So if this has a parasite on it or part of a parasite, it would be positive if it was that parasite.
Certainly, yeah. Well, that's a phenomenal approach, and it's interesting how someone can take a totally unknown substance in a matter of minutes, determine whether it's plant or animal, and then go right down the chain of parasites and determine what parasite it would be.
There are errors you do have to look out for, because nothing comes from the toilet bowl purely clean and uncontaminated with other parasites. So that's something to watch for, and we need to clean this up. But this was, I think, this is already in formaldehyde, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So it has been cleaned up because it looked so much like a parasite that it was worth doing that cleanup.
And actually, with that sample, you might be able to determine if astralis was in the system of the patient.
Yes.
Because it would perhaps be attached or be involved there.
Yes, you could.
Even Fasciolopsis busky or some of the other parasites.
Yes, you could do that. Yes.
At any rate, I think that's a worthwhile experiment. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello there again.
Hello.
Hey, I just love to come in and interrupt you when you're doing things and stick a camera in your face and say, hey, what are you doing? You know? And I had to leave a moment ago because I'd been fooling with formaldehyde and didn't have any voice left. Well, what's the antidote for formaldehyde? Just if you happen to know.
Cysteine and taurine.
Cysteine and taurine?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
So
Interesting.
you would take maybe one capsule of either one or both.
Interesting. Well, I drank some
It's
water.
quite
and
bad
it was
for you.
Yeah.
Formaldehyde, certainly for lungs.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting. I have to remember now not to prepare things with formaldehyde before I try to talk.
Yes, and a person shouldn't have any open formaldehyde in the house. Of course, we have it all the time in other forms. It's a standard air pollutant that we test for. It's in my set of air pollutants that we test for. Because there's formaldehyde in foam bedding, formaldehyde in your new clothing if it has never been washed or dry cleaned, and formaldehyde coming maybe from your cupboards if they're new wood, some kind of paneling.
So the glue that they would use on the paneling and
Possibly.
the glue they use to put the tile down, the back of car